Problem number 2 from our solving polynomial equations homework. This is problem 2 of 6. We have the quantity of x minus 2 times the quantity of x plus 3 equals 6. And we're going to take it and we're going to do the same thing we did in the last problem. We're going to go through and simplify each side. Then we're going to set it equal to 0. And then we're going to do whatever method we need to use to solve the equation for the variable. So let's start out here. Let's go ahead and multiply our quantity of x minus 2 times the quantity of x plus 3. This time I'll use the generic rectangle if that's something that you do. We'll take it here and we'll do it this way. If you are into using the foiling method, go ahead and use that, just as long as you do it right, either way you choose. I don't care. So we have x plus 3 times the quantity of x minus 2. When you multiply your x's, you get x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. X times 3 gives us positive 3x. And then 3 times negative 2 is going to give us negative 6. So when we put this all together, we should have x squared. 3x plus negative 2x gives us just an x. And then we have a negative 6 here. So we have x squared plus x minus 6 equals 6. The second step, remember, is to take it and set it equal to 0. So we've simplified each side. Our second step was to set the equation equal to 0. So we're going to have to get rid of this 6. Now you need to be careful because this is a negative 6 and this is a positive 6. They're not going to just cancel each other out. Subtract 6 from here, subtract 6 from here, and we'll end up with x squared plus x minus 12 equals 0. The next step here is to factor. See if this can be factored. You're more than welcome to use the generic rectangle to factor it. If you're more comfortable with just taking it and setting up your 2 sets of parentheses, you can do that as well. I will do that on this one. I'm going to look at, I know it should factor into 2 binomials. I know my first term is going to have to be x and x because this is just an x squared. And now I'm looking for factors of negative 12 that add to give me positive 1. So if we think about, we have 1 and 12. One of them has to be negative, remember. 2 and 6. And 3 and 4. Well, 3 and 4 differ by 1, so this is going to be what we're looking for. I need more positives than negatives because this is a positive. So I'm going to have x plus 4 and x minus 3. Now let's set each of those equal to 0. X plus 4 needs to equal 0, or x minus 3 needs to equal 0 because we have the 0 product property. If one of these two numbers, one of these two quantities equals 0, then the product will be 0. So we get x equals negative 4. Or x equals 3. How do we check it? Take them, plug them back in. I could do negative 4 minus 2. This is my check. Negative 4 minus 2 times negative 4 plus 3 should equal 6. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. When we multiply those together, we should get 6, which is correct. And you can do the same thing with 3. You could take it and say 3 minus 2 times the quantity of 3 plus 3. That's going to give us 1 times 6 equals 6, and you know you are correct. So our answers here, x minus 4. And x equals negative 4 and x equals 3. That's problem 2. Let's go ahead and do another one in this video here. Let's go on to number 3. This time we have x times the quantity of x minus 6 equals 4 times the quantity of x minus 4. Let's take it now and let's go ahead and look to simplify each side. With this one, we have a distributive property happening here. So in order to simplify this side, we've got to distribute that x through. So we're going to have here, let's do this in different colors, see if this will show up. X squared, because x times x is x squared. And then x times negative 6 is going to give us negative 6x. On the right side, we're going to have 4 times x and 4 times negative 4. Don't forget the last part of it. So we've got 4x, and 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. We have simplified each side. Now we need to set it equal to 0. You could move these over to this side, but I'd suggest, since you have your x squared over here, that you move all of these terms to the left side. Make the right side equal 0. So subtract my 4x. I'm going to subtract my 4x here. Right now I'm going to have x squared minus, because negative 6 minus 4 gives us negative 10x, equals negative 16. I'm going to go ahead now and add that 16 to each side. So we have x squared minus 10x plus 16 equals 0. Now we need to factor this. I'll go ahead and use the generic rectangle to factor it this time. So I'm going to take my x squared and put it in my bottom left corner. Put my positive 16 in the top right. So now I'm going to do 16 times x squared, and my product will go in the top of my diamond. Now the middle term, we have negative 10x is what's going to end up being down here. So we're looking for a product of 16x squared that has a sum of negative 10x. So as we think about our values, or our factors of 16, we've got 1 and 16, or negative 1 and negative 16 there, right? We've got negative 2 and negative 8, and negative 4 and negative 4. Well, the only two that add up to 10 would be negative 2 and negative 8. So we're going to say negative 2x and negative 8x. Let's put those in the appropriate place over here. Common factor between negative 2x and x squared would be x. And we know that if the area here is x squared, x times x gives us x squared. X times negative 2 is going to give us negative 2x. And then x times negative 8, whoops, not negative 8x, will give us our x minus, I'm sorry, our x times our negative gives us our negative 8x. So we get, I don't know why I wrote 2x up there. That's a common mistake students make, and I just did it too. So you can see that it happens to people. It should be x minus 2 and x minus 8. So now when we look here, we're going to use our zero product property, because if this times this equals 0, then one of these has to be 0. So set them both equal to 0. And we'll get that x equals 2 or x equals 8. Now we can check it over here. I know a lot of you love checking your work so much, but what's the point in doing it if you don't know if you did it right? So I'm going to plug in my 2's here. I have 2 times the quantity of 2 minus 6. Well, 2 minus 6 is negative 4. 2 times negative 4 is going to give me negative 8. Let's see if the other side gives us the same thing. We're going to do 4 times 2 minus 4. 2 minus 4 is negative 2, so we have 4 times negative 2, and that's going to give us negative 8. We know that one's right. And then we can plug our 8 in and see if that gives us the correct answer as well. So I'll do that one up here. I don't really like going up, but I ran out of room. So 8 times 8 minus 6 should equal 4 times 8 minus 4. 8 minus 6 is 2. 8 times 2 gives us 16. 8 minus 4 is 4. And then 4 times 4 also gives us 16. So we know that one is correct. So our answers are x should equal 2 and x should equal 8. All right, this is problems 2 and 3 from the homework on solving polynomial equations. I'm going to stop this video now. If you have questions on 4, 5, or 6, you'll have to check out the next video. Thanks for watching.